Hello, everyone, and welcome to Telling Tales. Here we tell atmospheric stories through the medium of tabletop role-playing games together. With it being a Monday evening, we will be running Call of Cthulhu 7th edition, created by Chaosium. And this is the second episode of our second arc. The first of which is all available on YouTube if you want to go back and watch that. This is an anthology series, so there may be some tie-ins, but the stories themselves are not implicitly linked from the get-go. So this series is called Fingask, and if you have watched the first episode, or if you continue to watch this one, you'll find out why. So let me begin by introducing our stream manager, John. Hi, John.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm not too bad. How's yourself?
I'm all right, thank you. So any images that you see this evening will be put on screen by John, and many of them drawn by John. Thanks, John. And I was saying thanks for the drawings. You didn't have to leave.
Oh, fine.
No.
I'm used to that being my cue to leave.
No, I was saying thank you for the wonderful artwork. And also, John will sometimes poke us with rules clarifications in our chat to allow us to keep the game running smoothly and stop me from having to look at my rule book all the time, which is nice. I think that's all. Thanks, John.
That's pretty much. Oh, also making sure chat behaves.
Yes, watch out. So below the video, there are links to our YouTube if you're watching this on Twitch, or if you're watching this on YouTube, then there is a link to our Twitch. There are also links to our social media accounts and our Discord, which you can join for free and come and chat with us about all things tabletop role-playing games. There is also a link to our Patreon where you can donate to our channel if you enjoy what we're doing, to allow us to continue doing so and create higher quality things and such and other. And you will get, there are different levels of rewards on there, some of which give you access to different parts of our Discord where you can chat with us about other things and get behind the scenes information and all that kind of fun stuff, all the way up to having Matt, who runs games on a Tuesday and Wednesday on here, run a game for you and your friends, which is all very exciting. Other things that we do on the channel, so Monday night, as I've said, is Call of Cthulhu. Tuesday night is Vampire the Masquerade. Wednesday night is Simba Room, which is a free league dark fantasy game. And on the first Saturday of every month is a different one-shot adventure, different settings, rule systems, players and GMs. So we've so far had Alien, Troika, Morkborg, and Fiasco. And on the 5th of June, Chris, who plays in the Simba Room game, is going to be running The Expanse. And we also, very excitingly, are running a bi-weekly game on the Free League Twitch of Simba Room as well. So there was one on yesterday, so the next one is in 13 days' time. Just to note as well, the next couple of Tuesdays and Wednesdays will be Blades in the Dark from next Tuesday and Coriolis from the Wednesday after, because the current stories have come to an end for Vampire and Simba Room. So we're having some intermediary games. That's all of that promo stuff. So let's jump straight into some recaps. So the group all had an invite to a dinner at Fingask Castle, sent from Sir John Stewart. So and it promised some kind of opportunity that they would be sad if they missed out on. So the first to arrive was Sam's character, Albert Moore. Hi, Sam.
Hello.
Here he is. Give us a very quick rundown on Albert again, as this is just the second episode.
Yeah, sure. So Albert is a very tall, large, early 60s gentleman. He's a kind of lord of the manor, loves shooting, very boisterous, always smoking a cigar. You can always hear him when he's talking in the room. You get the idea.
So Albert was the first to arrive, I believe, in his carriage, horse-drawn carriage. One for pomp and ceremony.
Exactly. Carriage full of guns, as it happens.
Yeah. So tell us a little around the scene at Fingask as he arrived.
Yeah. So when I arrived, I wandered into the kind of room was announced by presumably one of John Stewart's kind of gentleman butler person at the door, and then entered to see only a few other people in the room. There was a couple that I knew, Robert and Mary Brown, who were kind of other kind of sort of lords, certainly landowners in nearer this area, who were kind of just chatting away, waiting for something had happened. I had a quick natter with them, and they didn't really know more than I did about this mysterious letter that said we need to come and find out what we we regret it if we didn't come to see what was going on here, but didn't really give us any information as to what we were actually expecting to see. There were a few other people in the room as well. There was Catherine Stewart Merry, who maybe is she a duchess? She is a duchess.
Yeah. Yes, and newly elected.
Yeah, we found out through conversation later on. Yeah. I don't think Albert's very interested in politics or anything like that, so he had no idea. But and also there was Thomas Walker, who was a journalist who was interviewing the Duchess, the newly elected Duchess, when we arrived. And yeah, I think that everyone was in the room. There wasn't very many people there. Yeah, that's right. So as I said, I had a chatter with Robert and Mary for a while. Well, Robert really, while Mary kind of sat there and nodded. And then a little after,
rolled her eyes relatively frequently.
Yeah, exactly. And then later, I believe it was Inga's character came in. I've got all their names down, but I don't actually have Inga's character's name, and I can't remember it since session 2.
Eliza.
Thank you. Yes. Then Eliza came in and kind of settled down just to kind of watch the conversation with the background. I think she snuck a listen in the conversation that was going on between the newly elected Duchess. And then one of the two scientists showed up, and I honestly can't remember what order they came in. Then Edmund showed up. So that's Steve's character, and kind of lurked a bit as well. And then eventually Samuel, that's correct. Yes. Samuel showed up. And we kind of were all getting really restless, and no one arrived for quite a while. We'd all had a bit of a chat and introduced each other and et cetera, but no one had any clue what was going on and why we were there. And then eventually, it was like hours, I think, Sir John Stewart showed up and met and had a natter with... He seemed to know the Duchess. It was quite close to her. And he didn't really tell us very much. He kind of settled down for some food, and he seemed very hungry. He mentioned his two associates briefly as well, John Rowett and George Smith, who were kind of associates on whatever mystery this is. But we didn't really get a lot more that evening, to be honest, other than, yes, it's going to be very, very exciting.
If Matt can come on, he plays Samuel. Hey, Matt. So if you could take us through kind of dinner and what happened just after dinner.
Yeah, sure. So I think everyone was pretty hungry and took a seat and started making their way through the various courses. I think it was mostly kind of small talk during the dinner and people being quite hungry. I think the most conspicuous thing was Sir John and his sort of eating methods. He was basically just wolfing everything down, with no regard for propriety, to the extent where it was a little bit, like, not just a bit funny, but an eccentric, but a bit disconcerting. And Samuel did try and engage him in conversation, but he didn't kind of really get very far. And then after the dinner, we were invited to a tour of the estate as part of the group. So the kind of full group who were invited there went out, and we first visited the cottages, which were accommodation for part of the group. Actually, the whole group, that kind of non-players, were staying in the cottages. And we were also shown, some of the sort of different areas of the grounds that were there. There were some very old trees that Sir John was particularly proud of and particularly kind of careful around. He also took us to a kind of bridge over a stream that then went down to an Iron Age fort. We had a bit of a bit of a scare in the fort, as there was a big splash from the river and kind of shocked everyone. That led to a discussion about ghosts and about Samuel's profession, which got a little bit on edge, but Sir John was very good at accidentally or otherwise diffusing some of that tension.
I totally wasn't mean at all and didn't play a trick on you at all.
So that was good. And then we headed over back to the house. On the way to the house, we saw a kind of walled garden. I think it was an octagonal shape. That was being basically a kind of garden. The wall was protecting the garden from I guess wildlife and other things. And then Sir John kind of escorted the other guests back to the cottage, and we went in for a nightcap.
Yeah. So I think if Steve can come on, who plays Edmund. Hi, Steve.
Hello. How you doing?
Can you just take us briefly through the sort of drinks, the nightcap?
So yes, we went to the drawing room for drinks and cigarettes or cigars, and passed the time with some light conversation. Sir John was asking people about their hobbies or their professions, which went fairly smoothly until it got round to Samuel again, and Edmund began to feel somewhat uncomfortable with Samuel's line of research, which was essentially the possibility of the soul persisting after corporeal death, which is not exactly Edmund's field. And probably more disturbed that Sir John was taking something of an active interest and had read some of Samuel's papers. So Edmund is currently feeling a little bit of potentially a fish out of water. And then there was a knock on the door, and Sir John answered it, and there was a phone call from Mr. Rowett, one of his colleagues. And when Sir John came back into the room, we got the impression that his colleagues hadn't been happy with the fact that the reveal had been delayed. And he said that they didn't seem to understand that the delay was unavoidable and that any one man only had so much time. But it was kind of noticeable as he topped up a drink. His hands were shaking a little before he got a hold of himself. And then after that, after he recovered and finished his drink, he then showed us to our rooms.
Yeah. And then after you'd kind of been left in your rooms, I think if Inga can come on, who plays Eliza. Hey, Inga.
Hiya.
I think you succeeded on the listen roll, if I remember correctly. So can you tell us what Eliza heard?
So I guess everyone was sort of starting to get ready for bed, and some of them were sort of starting to staring up into the stars and things like that. But Eliza kind of listened out and could hear presumably Sir John heading down the stairs. You could hear his sort of footsteps kind of getting a little bit fainter and fainter. Heard sort of the creaking of the door open, and then more footsteps down the way again. And then suddenly everyone was sort of plunged into darkness as all the gas lamps kind of went off all at the same time. And I think there's a faint sound of like a wheel squeaking at that point. And then it was sort of silent, apart from, I think then everybody could hear just sort of the muffled sound of, we couldn't hear what was being said, but there was some sort of muffled talking from the direction that Sir John had gone down. And then there was, more disturbingly, the sound, a sort of again muffled sound of a response, which was sort of insectile, as a kind of voice, I guess. which prompted a sanity check for us all, which I think Samuel and Albert both failed, but Edmund and Eliza succeeded on.
Yeah.
And that was the cliffhanger that we left on.
Yeah. So, after a few seconds, assuming that nobody does anything for, say, 5 seconds, which I think is pretty reasonable, there is the sound, which everybody will now hear because everybody presumably is paying attention and has stopped looking out of the window or whatever else you were doing. There is the sound of a wheel squeaking again, and the lights flicker back into life. And you then hear the downstairs door open and close and lock, and then some footsteps on the ground floor of the castle. So that whole thing probably took up about, from the downstairs door opening to the lights going off and then them coming back on and the door opening again, probably less than a minute.
I think by the time the lights are back on, Albert is already like, because he was really creeped out. He like got his knife out and was like moving around the room like that in the darkness. He's already opened the door and he's maybe in the hallway by the time the lights are back on. So I don't know if anyone else will do that.
I probably would have, yes, gone to the door and opened it and sort of looked out.
See me there with my knife, like.
Yeah, I think same for Eliza. She definitely want to see what's going on.
I think, say, since Edmund said he was out first, otherwise, then I'd look at Edmund and just be like, "Did you hear that sound?"
I heard something. I don't know what it was.
That was not. It sounded like talking, but nothing.
Perhaps one of Sir John's staff has an injury.
Come now, you know that wasn't. And then I think Albert doesn't say the next word, and then kind of just starts walking towards the staircase.
What's Samuel doing, Matt? I think everybody else has said that they're poking their heads out, at the very least.
If he hears everybody else kind of outside and having a conversation, he will poke his head out as well, but kind of nonchalantly.
Okay. Yeah, Albert was whispering.
Which is everyone else's outdoor voice, probably.
Yeah, probably, yeah. I don't think Albert waits. He's already kind of heading down the stairs.
If Eliza spots Albert already heading down the stairs, there's no way she's missing out. She'll follow as well. Wait, hold up, I'm coming too.
Okay, I will wait. I look genuinely like really pale and creeped out though. So,
is our luggage in our rooms? Was it sort of? Is it obviously?
Yes. Yeah. Everything of yours was kind of collected on your way into the castle. And yeah, so your trunk or whatever you have was in your room. Yeah.
Well, I think I'll nip to that, open it up, and grab. I packed an electric torch, so I will grab that and then rejoin the group.
You said the lights were back on, right, though, Johnny?
Yes.
So the lights in the building are okay. No, it's a good idea.
But being prepared for the for the adverse is probably sensible.
Yeah, cool.
If Albert has actually stopped, then Eliza might pop back into her room as well and grab. Well, I guess how bulky would things like the camera be? Probably a bit too much for sneaking around.
What kind of camera have you got?
If you had the same as me, the box brownie's only like this big. It's not that big.
Okay, I might grab a camera then and just a little notebook and for taking some notes.
I think Samuel has kind of stepped out onto the landing and will just say, "Is everybody okay?"
Fine, Mr. Thomas. Just somewhat unsettled. The
with the lights.
Yes, that's not normal. Normal behaviour, is it? Seems a little eccentric.
Just a power cut, perhaps.
You heard that?
Didn't you hear it as well?
No. Sorry, hear what?
Well, as a man of science and investigating the unusual, I'm sure you'll be interested. But we all heard something after the lights went out. Something. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know.
How strange. Maybe it's just, maybe something to do with the power going out. Has something broken down? I don't know.
Well, if Sir John is still around, I'm happy to offer my assistance. And if there's a problem with the lighting, I might be able to assist with any mechanical repairs. But,
While this conversation was going on upstairs, Albert was kind of on the stairs, listening to see downstairs if he could hear presumably John Stewart or whoever it was who opened that door. It sounded like they were walking around, whether it sounded like they were coming upstairs, like what was going on down there.
No footsteps coming upstairs. You heard them kind of continue back through to sort of the drawing room and that area of the house, and then you kind of lost the sound of it after that.
Okay, cool.
So they're through in kind of I would say that it's almost split out into sort of like a residency area and almost like an entertainment area. So he's gone through into kind of the entertainment sort of front section of the castle. And you've kind of lost him at that point.
Okay. I think I will continue down the stairs again then.
Are the lights throughout the rest of the house on as well, or was it just the ones in the rooms that came back on?
Anything that was on is on.
So are we creeping about in the darkness, or is it, otherwise?
No, it's light.
No, you're lit here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think by the time Albert is kind of a floor down, he's put his knife away again. And I start like saying quietly, Sir John.
So we'll say you get down to the ground floor of this sort of residential bit, and you've had no response yet. So at the end of this hallway is the door back through to the drawing room.
Mm-hmm. I will look around at everyone else after having presumably said it a few times, and
I think I heard him going further down the stairs before everything happened. Is there another? Would we have spotted, Jonny, another door somewhere that looks like it could be the one?
Do you want anybody who's looking into this? Do you want to make an idea roll?
Yeah, definitely thinking about that too. I think I had the thought where I was like, let's go find Sir John. And then at that exact second, I thought I'm going to stop saying that and actually. Idea is
9.
Yeah, just your intelligence.
Yeah.
Just a normal check, not like
Yes.
Oh, and of course I rolled a 99.
Oh,
I rolled a 9, so.
oh, you got a 9.
I rolled
Yeah,
a 6. So,
9.
yeah.
Okay. Anybody who passed, you're not 100% sure, but you don't think that any of the doors that you can see here kind of match up to where you would expect. Like you kind of came down thinking there'll be a door here or here on either side of the hallway, and there isn't a door quite there. There are ones a little further on and a little closer to you, but in terms of the number of steps that you heard him take when he got down to that floor, none of these doors really make sense for that.
Can I check, like, the floors? If there's like a trapdoor, like under a rug, or like, are there any suspicious bookshelves or anything like that? Just have a bit of a.
There are no rugs in this hallway, and the only thing that there is a small table with a vase on. No bookshelves or anything like that, and that's slightly away from the wall as well. As like a couple of inches between that and the wall, so you can't imagine there being any sort of secret latch or anything there. So it makes you it's a little uneasy, just because it doesn't quite add up in your head. Like he could have stepped towards it theoretically in your brain. You're thinking he could have gone a couple of steps towards it and then maybe thought he'd forgotten something and gone back and then gone back that way again to add the sort of extra few steps on, or less steps, but it still doesn't quite seem to tie up in your head properly.
Since
Sorry,
I
Steve,
didn't...
were you going to say something there?
Go on.
Yeah, what sort of time of the evening is this?
This, I would say, is probably about 10:30.
Okay.
Because it was about 8:30 before he actually arrived, I think, at the castle, or 8 o'clock. So, yeah, good couple of hours passed since he arrived.
I think since I didn't make the idea roll, I kind of look at Eliza as she's looking around and go like, "What? What do you? Anything?"
Well, I heard him. Presumably Sir John, but I heard him coming down the stairs, and I heard him open a door or something. And before he went, it sounded like he kept going down after passing a door, but it doesn't really make sense with the layout here. There should be a door here, I think, but I don't understand. There must be an explanation. She's definitely looking a little bit frustrated that she can't figure it out. Something's not quite adding up for her.
Yeah, so where you think the door should be is sort of where that table with the vase is, either behind that or opposite it, but you can't see anything there. Just wall.
Right here. But you can't see anything, can you?
I think at this moment when you kind of say that, Albert kind of the expression on his face kind of changes and he starts laughing, and then he just goes, "This is all some great trick, isn't it? He's building the suspense even more." I'm saying this very loud now. It's all dastardly, just to make us all feel awkward and scared, and now he's going to cut.
Yeah,
and then I'll kind of go, "Sir John," and say it very loudly.
There is an element of theatre to some of this, certainly. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm wondering why he invited me. Still.
Mr. Thomas, you haven't heard any reports of things like this, have you? I mean, I know you didn't hear the sound, but there was something sort of insecty about it.
Hearing sounds is certainly one of the big ones as far as my correspondence goes, but I don't know. I mean, I didn't hear anything. So
this could be one of your big finds, Mr. Thomas. That's something strange happening right here where we are. Aren't you more curious about this?
I suppose so. But are you sure you heard anything?
Quite sure, yes. And thankfully, the others here have corroborated that.
Well,
Are you quite sure that you didn't?
Yes, absolutely sure.
Doubt.
Well, tell me more about what you heard.
Like I say, I heard someone, presumably Sir John, just as he left the room, walking down the stairs, and then just when he should have been about here, he opened a door, and then he kept going further down, and then the lights went out, and there was. I couldn't make out any of the sounds. I don't know whether either of you could. I certainly couldn't make out any of the words of the conversation. It's too far away. But there was some sort of muffled noises, like he was speaking to somebody. But then the sound back, it certainly seemed like it was in response to what he was saying. But it was. I don't, like I said, I don't know how to describe it other than insectile. It sort of.
Samuel's going to be kind of start looking around the room, like at the ceiling and the roof and the stairs, and say, well, the acoustics in here were probably quite strange. It's an unusual building. So I don't think there'll be any more to it than that.
Oh, I thought you were going to say perhaps he'd gone a different way and the sound was I'm mistaken about where he'd gone. You think I misunderstood it entirely?
Such a dick.
It's a very strange building. There's it's strange materials. I think that's.
And I thought you were interested in the strange. You seem quite dismissive of this.
In this instance, I don't think there's anything more to it.
Miss Smith, do you happen to, in your line of work, you don't happen to have any information on or heard of Mr. Rowett or Mr. George Smith before, Sir John's collaborators?
I'm afraid not. No, I frankly haven't spent that much time in the country over the last few years. Really rather out of date. I'd only heard of the Duchess on the train up. I bought myself the papers, thought perhaps there's some interesting events going on in Scotland. I could maybe try and make some sense of this invitation, but heard about the elections, and that's about as up to date as I am, I'm afraid.
I do wonder what line of work they're in, because I do sense, yes, I do sense some trickery here, some the potential for theatre or games. It would fit.
I think while this conversation was going on, when Albert earlier was just like, "So John, he's already gone." So Albert's already like I'm in the drawing room looking for Sir John. I hope that was okay and didn't mess with the conversation you guys were having.
Yeah, that's fine. I think you guys would hear probably towards the end of that conversation the door to the drawing room open, and see Albert wandering through there.
Maybe a little bit on edge, like hearing the door, maybe a bit like before realizing that it's Albert. Okay.
Do I find Sir John?
No, but the other door, out of the drawing room is open, so you can presume that he's headed through. That was closed last time you left and went up. So
okay, assuming it doesn't seem like it's a private area, then I would go through that door.
You haven't been told that anywhere specifically is sort of private or off limits, and you've already been in these areas, so I think it's kind of relatively fair enough that somebody may go out for a walk if they can't sleep or anything. So I don't think you would feel bad for going.
I will proceed through there, continuing to go. Sir John, what a jape! What's going on?
Do we have we seen anything of any members of staff or anything like that? And nobody else in the building at the moment?
So the last interaction that you not even had but were aware of was the person coming to knock on the door for Sir John when you were in the drawing room. So you haven't seen anybody else since then. But again, it's probably fair enough to assume that they might have finished and gone to their residence for the evening, potentially, if none of them stay in the castle main building. So you still get no response. And this is in the sort of the dining room area where you were.
Okay. I think Albert pauses and now becomes slightly more unsettled again, because he thinks Sir John would want to probably pop round a corner and be laughing at us if it was some sort of joke. So now he's kind of surprised.
As the first person to go into the kind of big dining hall as well, with its stone floor, you do get a bit of an echo as you shout Sir John, which might potentially make Albert slightly uneasy as well. It's basically silent around apart from any noises that you are all making.
That definitely stops Albert. I think with shaking hand, I reach into my breast pocket and grab a cigar and light it. Takes a few attempts.
Might follow Albert if he's sort of making a noise and see if I can see anything as well. But
okay, you catch me mid shaking light, and I immediately light it and throw the match away to make it look like I wasn't shaking.
I don't suppose you have another, do you?
Hand you another cigar. Yeah.
I think Samuel is going to be kind of loitering in the back, and will say something to, I guess, Edmund and anyone else is in earshot. Say, well, if you need me, I'll be in my room. I think it's probably best we all get some sleep soon. And he's going to leave the group.
Okay.
As he heads back up, I'm just going to be like, that wasn't a quiet noise.
Yeah, once he's sort of out of earshot, maybe sort of, it's a little odd. don't you think?
I wouldn't think anyone could miss it.
No.
I
Just go back now, this evening, on his own.
I would have thought I think I just immediately just like thinking about how I thought this was a joke. I would have thought if this was all some trick though, so John wouldn't have just gone. You don't think it's still part of this great mystery he's setting up? It makes no sense.
Perhaps. I honestly would have thought that Mr. Thomas would have been the most curious about everything going on here, and he's the one who's presumably not heard any.
It does seem strange.
Together, that there's some sort of trick, like as you say, that's maybe he was always meant to be late and something going. Oh, I know. This is all just supposition.
You all suddenly realize that you're quite chilly, and you hear the sound of a wind kind of coming under the around the edges of the door to the dining room that you had come in through. So yeah, kind of a cold wind coming in through there.
Has the door been left open, or
that door isn't open?
Mm-hmm.
But you might presume that an exterior door is open.
Okay. Given that the others are now here, we'll go to that door.
Yeah. Maybe just open the door a little bit, just to kind of poke the head through briefly before opening it fully, to kind of go through and see what's what.
Yeah. So there's stairs down to the kind of reception area here, and you can tell from here that the door that you can't quite see, kind of out of eye line there, is almost definitely open. The front door.
Mm-hmm. Do you think he left and left the door open?
It wasn't open just a moment ago when we came in. Oh, well, there's only one way to find out.
No good manservant would leave the door open like that too. I presume they're not here anymore.
Eliza's already heading towards the open exterior door.
Follow as we talk.
Yep. There's
no sign of anyone having been around, is there? Everything's like... Are the lights on here?
The lights are on, yeah. So anything that was on before is still on. It hasn't been closed down per se for the evening. Well, it all was in one fell swoop, but it's all back on again now. So as you get low enough down the stairs to be able to see past the kind of incline of the ceiling, you see Sir John standing outside the front of the castle, kind of looking upwards, hands in his pockets.
Is he looking towards or away from the castle?
His back is to you.
Okay. I think I kind of glance at you two and don't really say anything for a moment, and just kind of watch what he's doing. But I'm assuming he's not doing anything.
No, he's just standing, looking out, occasionally kind of moving his legs a little to presumably stop them from seizing up.
Looking at this kind of entrance, like out to this exterior door, what are the nearest rooms to this space? Like, if you think about like where it might have come from, to get outside, any other, or are they any rooms that you
would probably presume that he has come the same route as you, because Albert thinks that he heard him come into the drawing room door. So the most direct route is straight through there, through the dining hall, down the stairs and out. Over to the other, like past the dining room, the other way is the kitchens. You're not sure if there's anything further over than that. And in the other direction, the dining hall is sort of right at the edge of the castle. So if you go out of a window from the dining hall, you're outside down the side of the castle. So
I think Albert, after having hesitated, presumably no one else acts. I will... go on, if you wanted to do something first.
Well, I was going to say, if someone else looks like they might be heading forward, or she might even sort of give a bit of a sort of go ahead.
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of
Albert was about to.
But then maybe like head like not quite where they were, but if there's another sort of place you can sort of get maybe a little bit closer and sort of tuck around a corner just to kind of listen to what's happening, but not be from the same sort of immediate like route that we've actually just come from.
Okay, Albert nods and lets you kind of do that before striding forwards and saying, "Sir John." Not quite so happily as before.
He takes a second or so and then kind of shakes his head and turns and says, Mr. Moore.
By the way, has Edmund come with me? Or
yes, I'll be, basically behind.
Mr. Carter.
Cool. Is this all part of your great mystery, may I ask? I'm kind of like nervous smile.
Apologies, I've left the door open. You must have felt the chill.
No, that wasn't exactly it. There was a rather an odd noise, old chap. Did you not hear it?
And the lights.
Yes, of course, the squeaking wheel. It's a bit of a it's one of my neuroses, probably passed down to me from my father. Before I can sleep, I have to check that the gas mains will switch off in the building, if needs be, due to an unfortunate incident involving a family member. I'm sorry, I'm so used to being in the castle alone that I didn't think to forewarn anybody that would be happening.
It's the lights. The lights were, no, by the by, not a problem. It's was it really just the gas? It was a very odd sound. It sounded like talking, but
no, I don't. I'm not sure what you mean.
Yeah, I was like, and you're sure this isn't? Go on.
Anybody watching can make a psychology roll and see.
Typical that the person with really great psychology isn't here.
Yeah.
We get that if we're listening as well, but not watching.
It would have to be a hard psychology roll, so half of your.
Well, that's one of it. Yeah.
I have put some points in psychology, but apparently not enough.
I do not make it either.
Okay.
Yeah, don't
Okay.
make it.
Yeah, he seems convinced that all that you will have heard is either the squeaking of the wheel, or maybe him sort of muttering something to himself as he's doing it. But...
Okay. And Albert, I think, just says then, and you're quite sure this isn't part of some elaborate trick to make us all feel excellently impressed by this marvelous discovery you have, correct?
Mr. Moore, I realise it may just be words at the moment, but I can assure you that there will be no need for tricks once everything becomes apparent.
Well,
Steve, can you make me an astronomy roll for Edmund, please?
Certainly.
ooh, very interesting.
I make it. I needed to roll under 65 and I rolled 12.
Okay, in that case, can you make me a sanity roll, please?
Ooh. Oh, that's
Hello.
exciting.
I also make that.
Okay.
47 under 64.
For a second, as you are kind of looking at Sir John and you can see the sky behind you, which is relatively clear from clouds tonight, the stars do not look anything. The constellations are all wrong. And then you blink and everything's fine. So no sanity loss. But
I will freeze for a moment.
I think that was... Go.
No, carry on.
I was going to say, I think that's kind of the end of the conversation I was going to have with Sir John, unless he said anything else. I was going to say, oh, good night, and turn around. Do I see... Does Edmund express anything of that on his face, even though he passed the sanity check? Or it's fine if you didn't?
There'll have been a flicker. I'll have frozen, stared up at the sky just for a moment too long.
Okay.
and then sort of started, and then turned around and looked at you and started to head back inside, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, I think I probably did notice then.
Yeah, I'll be a little on edge,
Mhm.
you know.
I'm guessing Sir John just stays outside.
Yes, as you are, as you head back, he says, "Apologies again about the lights, and please close the door behind you. It takes a lot of fires to warm a castle of this size, and a man only has so much money."
Albert just murmurs and then shuts the door.
Is Eliza going in as well with everybody? Kind of.
Oh, sorry. I imagine
appearing.
she was still inside.
Oh, just indoors, right?
In, rather than having like snuck around outside somewhere. But I think she won't go back up. I think she'll, if she's got kind of a reasonably covered, like she might just wait out a little bit and see whether Sir John comes back in anytime soon.
Okay. Given the circumstances, probably don't just wander straight upstairs either. Then I think I'll move away from the door a bit and kind of gesture Edmund with me and be like, "Are you okay, Mr. Carter?"
Yes, thank you, Mr. Moore. Perhaps it's the oh, hello. Perhaps it's the cigars. I just had a moment there.
Lots of strange things this evening.
Yes.
I was really hoping he'd tell us it was all some trick. I tell you, if it is still part of some trick, I'm going to kill him.
Yes, I hope things make sense tomorrow. This is not my field of comfort, I'm afraid.
Rather wish I'd brought my gun in here. Perhaps Willie's
Did Albert
still
not bring any of his guns indoors?
Well, no, he didn't, because he was trying to be polite and he thought, it's quite a big thing. He genuinely, I kind of mustered myself. I wonder if Willie's still awake. Perhaps tomorrow. So probably no need. I kind of look over at Eliza. Are you just still there?
Yeah. So she basically won't move. She's got like a like I said, a little sort of quiet spot, sort of tucked into the shadows or whatever. So yeah, might just sort of, if you guys are still sort of just there, might just sort of indicate to the door and say, "Do you think he's coming back?"
He's continuing to just kind of, presuming the best of somebody, take in the evening.
Yeah, I think Eliza might just sort of explain. I don't understand what's happening here, and I want to see what he's up to, frankly.
Understandable.
You're more than welcome to go back up to bed if you like, but I must admit I'm rather curious. If he's coming back anytime soon, if he's coming back inside, I'd really like to see where that door was. I might just camp out here for a moment.
I think. Yes, I think I should probably get some sleep. I'm not feeling too great at the moment. So I wish you well, and I will see you tomorrow, hopefully with more answers.
Indeed. Will you be okay here, young lady?
Well, I certainly hope so. I shan't stay out all night, but perhaps just to see if he comes back. When he comes back in, or rather when he comes back in, check if he's not doing anything. He's just going back up to his bedroom, then brilliant.
Would you like to borrow my torch?
Oh, if you don't mind, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Sure, I'll hand it over.
Watch out. It's been an odd night.
Good night, gentlemen.
Good night. And I'll head up the stairs, I guess.
I'm not sure Albert is going to go upstairs. Is there another door that I know of to the main building from inside? Yeah.
Not that you've seen. You could quite easily presume that there are other doors, at least one.
Yeah.
Maybe sort of, a kitchen side entrance, as opposed to, because obviously, if you were having a sort of big banquet thing, and this was the only door, you wouldn't necessarily want anything to be brought in through the main door. And then
I know there'll be other doors. It's just a case of, is Albert confident that he knows exactly where it is, or is it now sneaking around the house to find it?
You'd be looking around to find it.
He does want to go and find Willie, not just because of his gun as well, because he kind of likes Willie and he wants to make sure he's okay, because it's been a weird night and he hasn't seen him. Yeah, I think Albert's going to go snooping around for another door because he doesn't want to walk past John.
Okay. Right, so Edmund is going to bed. Is that right? Okay,
Yep.
So we don't need to worry about Edmund for now. So Albert is going to go sneaking around. Where are you going to go?
I'm looking for the most obvious exit door that won't take me right past the John. So presumably the kitchen would be my next logical place to go. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So you go through the door out of the dining hall, and then there is a corridor, and another door at the end of that takes you into the main kitchen area, which is quite large. There are a couple of doors coming off here, one to the left at the back of the room and one to the right at the back of the room.
Do either of them look like external doors?
These are not external doors. If you were looking for a door on the front of the building, you would obviously go to the left-hand door if you thought that was where a door was going to be. And otherwise, you would go to the right-hand door if you thought it was going to be at the back.
I think it might be at the back. You don't put your kitchen door on the front, do you? I'll go right.
Okay. So you open this door, and there is a sort of a doorway, but no door, to a pantry area straight on, and another door leading off to the left, from which you can feel a small bit of cold air. So it's not like a full draft, like the door's been left open, but you think that's probably the direction that you would head for an outside door.
Okay, gotcha. I was worried you were going to send me into sort of eldritch, get lost in the bowels of the house moment. I'll head towards the door with the cold breeze.
Cool. There are a couple of other doors coming off this corridor, but straight ahead of you figure is probably the exterior sort of side door.
My intention isn't to snoop through the rooms; it's just to get out and then, hopefully not past the door. That's it. So.
Yes. So are you just trying the door?
Yep.
It is still unlocked. Okay. So you're outside.
Cool. Okay. I will take a moment to get my bearings as to where I am, because it's the different side of the house.
Yeah. And
then presumably figure out the direction to the kind of the quarters that that all the staff are put up in.
Yeah. So where you have come out of is the sort of west. And you know that Sir Stuart's house was sort of southeast from the house. So what you would probably want to do is loop around the back of the house near where the cottages were, and then kind of head down to the Sir Stuart's house from there.
Yeah, cool. I'll do that. I'm not like, sneaking, but I'm vaguely trying to avoid passing for Sir John. That's all. If if one of the staff sees me, I don't care.
So you head around and find the path, aware of the fact that there is a drop to the side of you down to that lower area. And can you make me a if in doubt, spot hidden? Let's do a spot hidden roll.
More creepy things in the night. Another 99. You got to be kidding me.
Okay. You don't see anything. So you managed to make it down to near the lock and Sir Stuart's house, which is the name of the residence where the people are staying.
That's very confusing.
It's Stuart,
Okay.
and John Stewart is an Stewarrt.
Of course.
Don't blame me. Real life is confusing.
Yeah.
And there are no lights on.
Okay.
That you can see.
Well, it's the staff house. I'm just going to bang on the door.
Okay.
And I'm going to bang on the door and be like, "Excuse me, apologies for waking you, Willie."
A ground floor window opens to your left, and Willie pokes his head out.
Oh, good to see you, Willie.
Slightly bleary-eyed, having what a reasonably long journey yesterday for a horse and carriage.
Yeah.
He says, Mr. Moore, good evening.
I think.
Excuse me.
Oh, come now, Willie. I've seen you in much worse. Don't mind me. Sorry to wake you. I think, just to point out, I think it's like obvious to Willie because he knows Albert that I look rattled. Like I'm more unsettled, and probably I very rarely look this unsettled.
Is all well, Mr. Morris?
Been a very odd night. I suppose I just wanted to check you're okay. I don't really know what to say, but it's strange things happening up in the main house. This was all. I know I mentioned briefly to you, but this was all some sort of elaborate show. I think he's showing us some sort of, I don't know, big mystery he wants to explain tomorrow. But Sir John's not telling, and sounds like I've never heard downstairs. I'm not one to be easily rattled. Might I have my gun while I'm here?
Yes, of course. Do you have a particular one that he would presume to hand you as?
Yeah, probably not the shotguns. With a pistol.
Yeah,
you probably would logically assume I don't mean take a shotgun into the house.
Yeah. So you hear him kind of rattle around. Presumably, it's in sort of a case, which he brings over and hands to you.
Yeah. I'll take it from him and just kind of hold it close for a second and then strap it around my waist.
Do you need me to come up to the main house, Mr. Moore?
Don't worry yourself. You settle down again. Have a good night's sleep. Just keep an eye out while you're here, would you? Anything strange?
Yes, of course. Very good, sir.
Sleep well.
And he closes the window, but you can kind of feel his eyes on you as you wander away. So while you're off doing that, Eliza is keeping an eye on Sir John. After probably...
Can I see him like through a window or something? Just check that he hasn't actually ended off somewhere. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So after probably about 5 minutes, he just all of a sudden kind of turns and heads back into the house, closing the door behind him and locking the front door. And heads up. So I'll say probably where you might have ended up is in the sort of dining area. So as you come in and the door was there, there's a window sort of over to this side, which you can see out of the front of the castle. So you probably sat in that window if you were trying to get a good vantage point out the front. So as you see him coming in, are you moving away?
I try to avoid being spotted, and wherever he goes in the castle, again from a sort of safe distance, again trying to keep hidden, but just sort of try and make sure I'm keeping track of like where he's gone, just so I can see it. Yeah, see if he's just going back up to his bedrooms, or if he's going somewhere else. Then maybe would try and see if there's a way to kind of follow a bit more closely. Or
okay, so when he comes in, he heads straight over the dining hall and towards the drawing room door. Can you make me an easy stealth roll. So anything under double your stealth will be fine.
26. And my stealth is normally 20, but that's okay for an
Okay,
easy
fine.
roll.
Because he's not looking out for anybody, and you know, his shoes on the stone floor are making a reasonable amount of noise. I think it's fair to say that you would probably be able to get away with not being the quietest person in the world and not get his attention. So he heads across the dining hall, opens the door to the drawing room, and closes it behind him.
Can I, if I go a bit closer, can I hear anything? Oh, because we were in the drawing room before, right? And there were two.
You were, yeah.
Two doors
Yes.
out of the drawing room. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll maybe go up and see if I can press my ear against the door, see if I can hear anything.
So you hear him open and close the other door. So you presume he's gone through there towards the bedrooms, or towards whatever else was going on.
Yeah, I'll try and like quietly open the door, head into the drawing room, give it a moment, and then maybe see if assuming I can't like hear him like right on the other side of that door again, like sort of follow him.
So you hear some footsteps. Can you make a listen roll and see how well you pick up?
That is 52, which is under 70.
Okay. So you hear him take what you think is the number of steps that would lead him to where the vase on the table was.
Mm-hmm.
And after about 10 seconds, if you're waiting and not going out after him, you hear a and then he heads upstairs.
Ooh. Okay.
He only goes up one flight of stairs and then goes into a room on that floor, which you might presume was his bedroom.
Okay. I'll maybe give it a few minutes. I think would I have known that Albert left, or as far as I know, he's just gone
no,
up
because
the room,
he probably wouldn't be aware of
I
that.
kind of made my mind up once I get in the dining room, I think. So depending on the timings, I don't know if I'm due to be back soon, but I'll just be like there behind you.
Yeah, I was gonna say I might leave it a couple of like a minute or two, just checking that he doesn't sort of come back down or anything. But otherwise, like definitely heading back to that vase and just like staring at it like hard, like just trying to see like what, like, is there anything that I can see here? Like maybe try like, you know, is it literally just a vase on a little like side table? There's nothing else on there.
A couple of flowers in there, just a vase on a side table. Yeah.
Are they real flowers? Are they fresh, or are they like just?
Yes, yeah. Nice fresh flowers.
Yeah.
Wildflowers.
Okay.
Specifically.
Because I heard like a locking sound when he'd come back out originally, right? So
yeah.
Like maybe just, you know, pick up the vase, have a look on, you know, just confused, just look at this vase, like really overthinking it, and just like looking around, like what could this possibly be? If I don't find anything, then I'll maybe try to sort of sneak back up to maybe knock on Albert's door. But
you kind of move the table out of position slightly and kind of mess around with the vase, and there seems to be nothing untoward.
All right, well in that case I will try to like quietly, well actually will I do that first? No, I might, if there are any other doors on this, like around this area, even if they sort of seem like they're too far away, can I just check if any of them are locked?
Sorry, the doors on this ground floor.
Yeah, or just anywhere else that like could feasibly be, you know, where someone's like walked to you in close distance, like what the next couple of doors would be along this little corridor. But otherwise, yeah. So if any of them seem locked, I might, you know, have a look there. But otherwise, yeah, just
okay. So there are 3 other doors down here. all of which open. So are you having a look in each of the rooms?
Just a very
Or are
quick
you
look.
just checking that they're not locked?
Mostly just checking that they're not locked, but also, we'll just double check that they are like normal rooms. There's not like none of them aren't like stairs down to a creepy basement sort of thing. Yeah.
So the first one that you open, which is sort of nearest the stairs, is a billiards room. And then the other two are bedrooms.
Oh, I haven't there's no one in them.
No, they're empty.
Yeah. Okay, cool. In that case, I'll just close those again and head up towards the bedrooms, and maybe just very, very gently knock on Albert's bedroom door.
Yes, there is no answer. So Albert gets back to the castle. Are you looking for Sir John out the front as you get there to try and make sure that he doesn't spot you? Or are you just going the way that you came, presuming that you won't be seen?
Probably just trying to get straight back to the castle. I'm not really investigating him. I'm just heading back, hoping to avoid interaction with him.
Yeah, okay.
Probably fairly briskly at this time of night.
Okay. You get to the kitchen side door, and fortunately, it seems that Sir John has forgotten to lock this.
I really thought you were going to do a thing where you locked me out then. I was definitely expecting that.
So you managed to get in and kind of wind your way back through. So there's probably, I would say, is Albert attempting to quietly move through the castle?
I don't think he is, no.
No?
I don't think he's too bothered.
Okay. In that case, as you are, after about 10 seconds from having knocked on Albert's door, you hear a door sort of open and close downstairs, which is the door. Well, you hear two. So there's the first drawing room door and then the second drawing room door.
This is obviously very suspicious. So I will flat against the wall or whatever, kind of sneaky sort of try and listen in, see if it seems like there's any other insectile noises about to happen. But probably fairly quickly recognize that it's Albert's noise.
Yeah, so you spot Albert coming up the stairs. Probably preceded by a plume of smoke, I imagine.
Yeah, indeed. And I'm now much conspicuously wearing my large 38 revolver on my hip as well.
Eliza will look very relieved at seeing you all of a sudden, and probably let out a little bit of a sigh of relief. Yeah.
I'll nod at you and be like, "Anything happened then?"
I just came to knock on your room and you weren't there, and I got really worried. Where were you? Where did you get that?
I glanced down at the gun and be like, "Oh, my man had it in the servants' quarters. I went to go get it and check on him."
Oh, is everything all right over there?
Not a problem. I just wanted to make sure. Well, excellent. And get this. I feel a bit more comfortable with it, you know?
Oh, of course, yes. Again, just trying to whisper a little bit more quietly, even if Albert's not being quiet. Well, Sir John's come back in. I think he's just gone to his rooms now, but before he did, he was back at that vase again, the little table where I thought that door was. He didn't go anywhere again, but he was just... There's something about that.
And did you look? Did you see anything on it? Did you?
No, I didn't. It
just looks normal to me.
No man has that strong an appreciation of wildflowers. No one just stops and stares at those on your way back to bed.
And you said it sounded like that's where he was when whatever it was happened.
Yeah, well, no, not when the noise was, but before. It sounded like he went through another door. There was the door, and then more footsteps downstairs. I think perhaps a basement level or something like that. I'm not quite sure. It's so hard to tell with the sounds. I suppose I suppose there is a bit of the acoustics, I suppose.
I think Albert is attempting to whisper, and he just goes, "Well, I don't think Samuel believes that as any more than we believe that. That was a sound that we all heard, and we know we all heard it. Anyway, if it's the vase, and then we're saying there's some. Why would Sir John hide something like this from us anyway? What's some sort of extra room or door that's hidden by the vase? I don't understand. It seems mad to be saying this.
I know it sounds utterly ridiculous, but strange things happen, I suppose. It must. You're right. Maybe this is all part of some trick, and it'll all be revealed in the morning. I just don't really like having the mystery in front of me and sitting around and waiting for it. I like to grasp a mystery by the horns, and I'm a little frustrated, frankly.
Albert smiles. I suppose there's little more we can do this evening, nonetheless.
I suppose. Johnny, what sort of time would it be by now? It must be getting quite late.
Yeah, probably just after 11. I think by now.
Mm-hmm. Did we have any idea what was going on tomorrow? Like, are we being woken? Is there something planned in the morning for a time, or is it just whenever we happen to be around?
No, based on the fact that you were expecting probably everything to be resolved this evening, you might have presumed in the morning it was breakfast and then head home.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, standard breakfast time is probably between 7 and 8.
Mm-hmm.
You might assume that was your kind of rousing time.
Yeah, okay. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. There's nothing else I can think of to do now. Just not sure how well I'm going to sleep tonight.
No.
Oh, I'm going to kill him if it's all part of this.
Well, I suppose I'll see you in the morning.
Sleep well.
You too, Mr. Moore. Well,
Okay,
back into the bedroom and not really settle for bed too quickly. Maybe take very slow, quiet, listening out for anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Taking sweet time for really getting into bed and getting settled.
I think Albert sits in bed and plays with the revolver for a while, loading and unloading it and testing all the mechanisms and things like that.
Yeah, I think Eliza will get her gun out as well, have that under the pillow or somewhere convenient.
Okay. So morning rolls around. No other noises are heard overnight. Nothing else strange occurs. So I think if everybody else can come back on screen, does anybody have any particular plans for the morning pre going down for breakfast?
Albert is snoring loudly, having finally got to sleep. When when others wake up, he's still snoring loudly.
It's just if anybody has any sort of morning rituals or anything that they normally do. No,
I think so.
I think Eliza maybe actually in the previous evening before getting to bed, maybe just have made a couple of notes of the things that happened in the rough sort of order of events from the previous day.
Yeah,
but otherwise nothing else really in the morning.
So I think Samuel had when he'd gone back to his room, sat down with his sketch pad and written down as vivid a description of what he heard and what had happened for himself. And then he's really struggled to sleep, so he's been up since the sun has been up, and he's had a walk around the grounds, but it's kind of up and dressed and ready to go very, very early.
Okay. Oh, you've been up and been for a wander?
Yeah, just very close to the castle, just kind of round, really just in an endeavour to sort of look awake.
Okay. So when you, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. When you go down to go for your walk, the front door is unlocked, which obviously to you doesn't seem anything, but in the grand scheme.
Okay. Yeah, I think Samuel will not have twig that there's any issue with that. Just assume that it's staff getting out early to do some work or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lovely, lovely morning. Very cold, but it is December. But sort of crisp, frost on the grass and clear blue skies. It's a very nice morning walk for Samuel. And probably upon heading back inside, there's sort of the smells and the clatter of sort of breakfast being sorted out. So is everybody else just heading down upon waking? Do you think Albert has woken in time?
I suspect not. I think he's snoring a bit later. He didn't get a lot of sleep, and it was a long journey. And
I think if Eliza can hear him snoring, I assume she can. She might gently knock on his door.
Okay.
Maybe not too early. I think Eliza probably would have woken up quite early as well. Maybe like had the window open. Maybe even seeing like Samuel taking a wander around the grounds if it's that side of the building. But yeah, by the time it definitely seems like breakfast time, and there's maybe a bit more bustle around. If Albert's still snoring, she might give him a courteous knock.
Okay. As you knock, you hear Albert go, oh, light already. Oh dear. Okay. Sorry. Coming. Yes. I'll be up in a minute.
And yeah, I think Eliza will wait for Albert to come out.
Okay. He's not long. He only takes about 5 or 10 minutes. Coming out looking kind of mostly dressed because he was clearly in a rush and he's still buttoning up his shirt or something.
Well, I think hearing these sounds, I'll head out as well. And
I think you both see me also belt up and tighten my gun to my waist as well.
Is Samuel just going straight to the dining hall upon coming in, or are you going back to your room for anything before heading for breakfast?
No, I don't think he needs anything. I think he'll go straight to the dining room.
Okay. So as you are sort of heading back towards the front door, you see the group from that have stayed in the cottages all heading in together into the front door to go for breakfast. Slightly ahead of you. So as everybody else comes downstairs, you see all of those people sort of finding a seat and Samuel coming in through the front door as well. And Sir John is already sat in the seat that he sat at last night, kind of center of the head table, and already tucking in to some food as well, like a ravenous man.
I will settle myself. Probably next to Robert again, because I wanted to ask him anything odd happened to them last night. Yeah.
So, I mean, is there food and stuff just laid out? We are all just welcome to go and sit down and, or is there a bit of a, I don't know, is it?
Are you there, Jonny?
Oh
no.
Have we lost Jonny? That's why Jonny just froze a pensive face, and we're all like, "Oh, is Jonny going to tell us something?" We'll wait for the pensive to pass.
Hello. As you can see, our keeper has been hit by some sort of eldritch horror affecting his internet.
Time freeze.
He's clearly thinking really hard about this next step. He's still thinking.
Most dramatic pause.
Oh god, that was hilarious.
Quick, we can explore more of the house now.
That's the funniest.
I'm not.
John, what's with the vase? Come on, you got to tell us.
It's got flowers in it.
The flowers are the key. John's told us the flowers are the key.
That's not what I said. Stop getting me in trouble.
Oh dear. Excellent.
Here we go.
That was the funniest moment for Jonny to freeze, just because it was Jonny in perfect pensive face, and we're all just there as role players, Jonny's going to say something. He's going to say something.
Sorry, internet.
It's fine. I definitely didn't tell them the secret to the campaign. So
I see. He's gone again.
Oh no! Come
Oh
on.
no.
Why? Johnny, he's plugged in, right?
Okay, I'm gonna go backstage and try and run some tech support. Yeah, you four don't misbehave while I'm gone.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
You're being
One
unsupervised.
of the most suspicious flowers that we all know.
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously, thank you to the viewers for bearing with us in this trying time.
Terrible
Meanwhile,
time.
here is some light music.
Yeah, exactly. So who wants to play Robert and Mary then? I was going to go sit down with them. I'm sure you guys could manage.
Oh, jeez. Do we have
This
a?
is so meta though, having the creepiness extend out into the
Yes, yes, it's affecting the real world. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm back, hopefully.
Okay.
Hey.
Hopefully. See if this works.
Fingers crossed.
Okay, breakfast.
Yes.
So,
shall I just bump you into? There we go.
so you sat next to Robert and Mary, is that
Yep.
right?
Yep. I was going to come and ask them now, but everyone else.
Is anybody else taking specific seats?
I would perhaps try to sit next to Miss Smith to find out how whether she saw anything last night.
Yeah, maybe a seat kind of slightly further away from Sir John to have a slightly more private discussion about that sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's Samuel going, Matt?
So, yeah, it's definitely a tricky one for him. I think he's conscious that he could lose some crucial allies here if he doesn't, I guess, sort of, make peace or make little of what happened. So I think he will join the largest group of you three that he can find, which I guess is Edmund and Eliza, if there's a space.
Okay.
Even if they are having a conversation, I think he will just come and sit down and sort of smile at them.
Yeah, I think so. The Duchess and the Thomas will have sat probably at Sir John's table again. Robert and Mary, probably presuming that Albert would want to sit with them, have sat on one of the other two side tables, which then means that if Eliza and Edmund were hoping to have a private conversation, they would have gone on the other side table, which would then mean that there was space for Samuel on there.
Sorry, I think he's going to go interrupt.
So Robert, upon seeing Albert come in, Albert, come, please take a seat.
Good morning. Thank you.
Morning. Yes, sleeping is hungry work, I often find.
I think Albert.
Mary rolls her eyes.
I think Albert kind of tucks into his food for a moment, not really saying too much more unless Robert says anything. And then after kind of maybe like a few slices of toast or something, looks up to Robert and just goes, so you happen across anything odd last night in the night?
No, I don't think so, although I was slightly worse for wear by the time I turned in, so it didn't take me long to doze off. Mary says, yes. No, I don't think that there was anything strange.
You're quite certain, Mary? As probably nothing, but there were some very odd noises here last night, like nothing I've ever heard, to be frank. I'm saying fairly quietly.
She picks up that you're saying it quietly and says, no, no, nothing strange at all.
Okay, well, something tells me there's something very odd going on here. Just both of you be cautious, okay? It's
Yes, of course. Well, we know where to come for protection. Should we require a firearm, I believe, Albert?
I'm wearing mine now, you can see, so yeah. I'll just nod and then start eating my toast again unless he says anything else.
Okay. How's Edmund and Eliza's conversation going with Samuel's watchful ear?
I think I would open with Miss Smith. How was the remainder of your evening? Did you?
Fairly uneventful. Sir John did come back in and went up to his rooms, although he did stop at that same spot again. But perhaps he just appreciates some flowers. She says very unconvincingly.
Yes. There's something. Yes, there's something not right here. Perhaps we'll learn more today. I hope so. I am wondering. Yeah, I am wondering why I'm here at the moment, but hopefully time will tell.
So am I'm not wondering why you're here. I'm sorry. I'm wondering why I'm here.
No offense taken.
I'm wondering that. Yes, two journalists invited here, and some big mystery. Must be expecting us to, and scientists, people of curious minds.
And Mr. Thomas too.
What?
Samuel will pretend he didn't hear that. Carry on eating.
Eliza, maybe slightly oblivious to that. She's like, exactly, scientists and journalists, people who want to understand what's going on, and then all these mysteries, there must be. He's asking for us to explore, surely. But explore what? Well, hopefully we'll find out today.
Yes, fingers crossed, I guess. But I'm glad you're. Did you manage to sleep reasonably well? I hope.
A little, enough. Were you able to stay? I know Sir John had mentioned that, some people perhaps had to leave. I mean, I certainly have nowhere else to be. I was intending to stay and see this through. You weren't having to rush off anywhere today, were you, Mr. Carter?
No, I think my work can do without me for a day or so. I would like to see this through. Certainly, having travelled here, it would be frustrating to leave with no explanation.
That's reassuring to me. And you, Mr. Thomas, are you having to rush off anywhere today?
No, absolutely not. I will be staying as long as it needs to find out what the opportunity is here. How about last night? Did you manage to find out about the sound? I presume it was some issue with the building.
Sir Stewart didn't claimed not to have heard any sound. Interestingly, he did explain that he has a tendency to check the gas system and turn it off at night, and therefore was oblivious in the moment to our presence in the castle. So that explains the lighting, at least, but the sound still remains a mystery. And his fascination with the vase, of course.
If I had a penny for every time one of these sounds was a gas or the heating or the staff, or I would be a very wealthy man. So it's a new day.
But you still believe, Mr. Thomas?
I believe in some things. I investigate and look for evidence. But you said it yourself. There was nothing going on. So
nothing that we found. You're still uncovering some mysteries in your own work, aren't you?
From time to time, but I would have to be careful with my time and only investigate the most robust of cases, I would say. And it seems like most people here didn't hear anything, and I certainly didn't hear anything. So I think we just look forward to the day.
Eliza looks a little bit offended at that.
Mr. Thomas, whilst we're talking, a question did spring to mind after last night's discussions. It seems strange to me that to study death, you seem to have a particular fascination for it. Why are you so driven? Why switch fields? You do have training in physics. That much I knew from our initial conversations. I'm just surprised that you seem so driven to this particular line of research.
Well, after my initial research, I noticed that this was an area there was maybe a bit of a deficit in ability in rigorous research. So I thought I'd offer my services, and yes, perhaps it did provide me with an opportunity to find something that I can perhaps make more of an impact on. But at the same time, no, I think what drives me is what I see to be the opportunities. Yes, I mean, there does seem to be a lot of reports and cases, and usually perhaps with a little bit more in the way of interesting developments than we might have seen here. But somebody needs to be investigating these, so I put myself to the task. And
the papers that Sir John mentioned he'd read, I'm afraid I haven't seen those so far. Can you summarize? He seems to have a shared interest, so I would be intrigued to learn his connection to your work, if indeed there is one.
Well, I can't be sure exactly which of my research he's read. I do cover quite a wide range of areas, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was, I guess, my most acclaimed, if you could say that, pieces have been around the idea of, as we discussed last night, some of the shared experiences of people who have been near death or indeed recovered from a state close to death. A lot of these in the recent conflict. I've been trying to collate these and draw some comparisons and some conclusions from them, and correlating reports as best I can. Obviously, it can be difficult with people talking to one another about what they see and stories being spread around, but yes, that's possibly what he's read, or it could have been another piece.
I've not studied biology, Mr. Thomas. Does it not occur to you that perhaps some of the similarities in these stories simply occur because humans share a common brain structure, and therefore, at the time of death, as the body is failing, perhaps all brains fail in the same way? I don't study biology, so I can't say for sure, but there is certainly a common factor there. Anyway, perhaps this is heavy conversation for breakfast. I apologize.
No, not at all. Well, thank you for taking an interest. All I will say is that some of these instances, we are told by the doctors and physicians that they've passed away, and then they return. Who knows what state the brain is in? But yes,
you while you're having this conversation, you spot what you presume is a member of Sir John's staff kind of come up behind him and kind of whisper in his ear, and he turns to the Duchess and Thomas, the journalist, and say, "Please excuse me." Kind of takes his napkin out, stands up, and heads off through like the door to the kitchen side. That's it.
I will glance at Miss Smith.
Eliza probably would have got a little bit bored of the science chat. And would have maybe been listening out to see if the Duchess and the journalist were still talking, or if there's anything kind of interesting going on at any of the other tables. But that certainly, I guess, would have piqued interest. But yeah, I don't know. Would we've heard anything about like plans for today or any of the other tables or anything like that?
You haven't had that yet, no. After a couple of minutes, Sir John reappears from the back room with a bit of a smile on his face, and heads back to his seat. And I'm presuming that Robert and Albert at least would still be having a conversation, even if Edmund and Samuel are not so much. Like even between sort of mouthfuls and stuff. So he stands and says, "Excuse me, everybody." And he's still got this little smile on his face. And he says, "I've got some very, very exciting news. There is a visitor joining us later today to assist me with the announcement. So once they are here, I'm going to sound like a poet, but once they're here, all will become clear. So please continue enjoying your breakfast. Might I suggest that in a short while we can take in the grounds again? We could maybe play a small amount of tennis if anybody were so inclined. And please, if anybody requires more fresh juice or tea, please just mention it to one of the kitchen staff. And he sits down and continues eating and sipping his tea. Does anybody else have anything else that they want to sort of discuss over breakfast or do during this time?
Yeah, maybe after that announcement, maybe addressing Sir John Stewart. Very exciting. With the announcement originally scheduled for last night, is this an addition to the planned announcement, or was the whole thing delayed to today?
No. So obviously last night time unfortunately got away from me, and the addition of the visitor today will only strengthen the announcement and allow us to properly celebrate what an achievement and an opportunity that it is for all of us. I can only reassure you again that it will be worth the wait. And obviously, in the meantime, anything that I can do to make all of you comfortable, it goes without saying that will be my utmost priority until such time as the announcement can be made.
Well, a little bit of information would be terribly comforting, but I suppose that's a bit much to ask.
I wouldn't want to dampen the overall announcement by giving a teaser of what it may be.
Albert just says, "Hear, hear," when you say that as well.
So everybody finishes breakfast. It's all very delicious again, very nicely made food. You don't, if anybody is looking out for the kind of the guy who was announcing everybody last night, he's not there. You recognize a couple of the other kitchen staff from last night who are bringing food and stuff out, but the that kind of butlery announcement chap is nowhere to be seen. So you finish breakfast, and Sir John says, "Right, I'm going to change into some outdoor gear, and then I'm going to be going for a stroll around the grounds and maybe some games. Anybody who wishes to come is welcome to join me. I'll be back here at, let's say," he looks at the clock, and it's 8:45. He says, "I'll be back here at 9 and ready to head out around the grounds." So, yes, anybody who would like to join me, be here then, and we'll head out for a stroll. So Robert and Mary, Thomas and the Duchess all kind of get up at this and head out to go back towards the cottages. Robert says, "Will I be seeing you, Albert, for a stroll?"
I might go and do some fishing, I was thinking, in fact.
Oh, I could be tempted to some fishing.
Well, don't worry yourself if you wanted a stroll. I don't mean to intrude, but you're welcome.
Meet us back here at 9, whatever you're doing, and we'll come up with a plan. So they all head off. What's everybody else doing?
Well, I guess I'll look to the others. Probably, finish breakfast and then head back upstairs, and with an aim to joining the rest of the group at 9. I guess, unless anyone has any different plans.
Once Robert and his wife have wandered off, I'll walk to Eliza and say quietly, "Damn, I was rather hoping he'd go on the walk."
Well, he can't be in 2 places at once.
Oh, sorry.
So, no, it's all right. I was just going to say, I think Samuel is, having just been for a morning walk, kind of ready to go, and we'll just hang around downstairs to join the group rather than heading up to his room first.
Yeah.
I think as I head upstairs, I will stop by the table with the vase and just sort of stare at it for a couple of seconds, and then head back up.
I guess Eliza will head up as well and get changed into some. They're a bit torn about whether it's, if the castle seems like it's emptying itself for the day, but I think on balance she will join with the others. But yeah, maybe grab the camera and also the gun to take with her.
Yeah, Albert will go upstairs and get into some more outdoorsy clothing as well.
And return the torch to Edmund as well.
Okay, Kat. So everybody meets downstairs. Is Albert waiting there with his fishing gear?
I imagine that my fishing gear, Willie probably had my fishing gear with the carriage. I don't think I would have had it with me because it'd be quite large. So I imagine the plan was to go get it after, having met up.
The lock is right near the that residence anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty reasonable to go do that. Okay. So everybody else kind of returns, seeming in relatively high spirits. And Robert says, "Albert, I'm afraid that we may have to reschedule our fishing trip. Mary here would like me to take her for a stroll around the grounds with everybody else. So you don't mind, do you?"
No problem at all. I think I'll enjoy the peace and quiet myself today, perhaps for a change.
Very good. And they go way out the front. And everybody else presumably heads out, following them and Sir John.
Yeah, I guess, or maybe just if Albert sort of hangs back a bit, like, did you want any company out on the boat, or are you looking for a quiet day?
I wouldn't say no to a little company if you happen to join me, if you fancy joining me.
I can't say I'm much of a fisherwoman, but I can certainly keep you company.
Okay, so you guys are heading down to the residence. Everybody else going for a wander. Can all of you make me a spot hidden roll.
My rolls today have been terrible.
It's really just observation, but this is the nearest thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, I rolled a 100.
Wow.
Yeah, get something in my eye.
I needed a 55 or under, rolled a 60, so that's a
Wow,
fail.
we all fail. That's
Yeah,
kind of unlikely.
65 and got a 75.
We
Johnny's
do
trying to
not-
give us stuff to do, and we're just like, nah.
That's fine.
We do not find the plot.
So, Albert and Eliza head over towards Sir Stuart's house.
Yeah, on the
Um,
way there, I was going to have a chat with Eliza, basically.
Mhm.
I was kind of... So I guess Albert's kind of like, well, assuming there's no one else around. Well, I'm not really sure what I intended, to be honest. I was fancying a fish, but I also am rather unsettled by all this and wanted to have a look around at more things, but I just don't know what to do.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear you say that once more. Feeling quite the same. You wanting to explore up around the loch and the house, or back
Why
in the
not?
castle?
I suspect there'll be serving stuff in the castle now. That's the problem, and I don't really want them to come across us. I don't know, with that vase on our heads.
There might be something that they can tell us if we wanted to speak with them. But...
Perhaps you're right. Perhaps you're right. Well, let's head down to this place first. I'll have a chat with Willie, and maybe I'll get the fishing gear just to make it look like that's what we're doing, and maybe we can head back up.
Excellent. Did you? You said you headed out last night to speak to your man and get your gun. You wandered outside all by yourself to the servants. How did this? Did you say it was Mr. Stewart's house? Was it?
Quite so. Not a problem.
And you were all right. Nothing else funny happened in the evening.
No,
Right.
not at all. Other than being rather unsettled, I suppose.
And everything fine in the house there. Nobody else had noticed anything strange.
Yes, no problems. I mean, Willie's here. We'll find out if anything else happened in the night, I suppose, now. But he seemed surprised that I was there.
Perhaps your man can. We'll hear something through the rest of the staff in the house.
Oh, I feel bad putting upon the poor lad, but you're probably right.
They'll probably speak to him more than they'll speak to us, frankly. But
Very true.
right, fishing.
Okay, everybody else on the stroll. It's a lovely day, bright sunshine, cold, crisp winter's day. Sir John is kind of recounting the same information as last night, but now you're in the sunshine as opposed to just kind of catching, sort of silhouettes of things that he's pointing out to you. The trees that he mentioned are quite magnificent, very tall, healthy looking trees that he's very proud of. Really the stroll just kind of goes off as quite a pleasant experience wandering around the grounds. And as you kind of loop your way around past the trees and over the little bridge again, Albert and Eliza will do. So, are you knocking on the door of Sir Stuart's house again? Okay. It's actually Willie that comes to answer the door.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, Mr. Moore, good morning. I've been concerned about you. I'm glad to see you well. Ma'am?
Yes, this is Miss Smith.
Miss Smith? Willie, nice to meet you.
Yes, all well. Nothing else untoward at all, I should say. Overnight, everything. You sleep well? Everything okay here?
Yes, all fine. A very comfortable bed.
Very nice.
Yes. Is there
yes.
anything I can do for you, Mr. Moore?
Yes, we were thinking of doing some fishing. Could I get my rods?
Very good. He scarpers off and returns. Would you have brought two, do you think, with the idea that you might go with somebody?
I suspect Albert is very social in everything he does, so
Yeah.
he probably brings a number of all of these things, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you grab those. There you are, sir.
Willie, I don't suppose the staff here have talked much with you. There's nothing odd that they've talked about at all, is there? Sorry, this is an unusual request, I suppose.
No, not really, sir. They're talking about how they're kind of overworked. Few people having been let go recently, but nothing other than that.
Well, if you happen to catch a conversation with any of them, you could maybe ask if Sir John does have any odd habits, or if he's I don't know, doing anything odd things late in the night or anything like that. It's so crazy asking you to say this.
No, of course. If anything like that comes up, I'll be sure to make a note. Press where I can.
Yes, just be careful, of course. Strange places and all that.
Yes, of course. Anything else, sir?
Well, it seems like we're going to be here for another day. I'm not sure about tonight, but I'll glance at Miss Smith and say, I suspect another night as well.
Very good, sir. I'll make sure that the horses are cared for and take them out for a small walk.
Yes. Good. Well, I'll leave you to it then. Take care.
Have a pleasant fishing excursion, Miss Smith. So as you are sort of leaving the house, up to your right, if you're looking at the front door of the house, you see the group kind of walking along the raised area above you. And you see them spot you, and Robert kind of raises a hand to Albert. So are you, as they're there, are you planning on heading back to the house, or are you going to go to the boathouse?
I think it would look a bit suspicious to be walking back to the house without fishing rods. I think my intention, unless Eliza has any other intention, was to go to the loch and to the boathouse and then see what.
The stream kind of does go the whole way along as well, so you could kind of pick a plot along the stream if you wanted to, rather than going out on a boat. That wouldn't seem odd.
Yeah. I guess I'll Miss Smith. Any intentions? Anything you wanted to investigate? If the other group aren't right next to us, I say that.
Yeah, no, they're sort of 30 feet up and about 100 feet away, so you're fine.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Albert isn't with his voice, but if you put any effort into being quiet, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think there's plenty to investigate. We could start anywhere, really. I mean, there may even be something unusual on the grounds. So, yes, I suppose we best go fishing. And if we need to, perhaps I can lose a boot in the stream or something. If we need an excuse to head back.
Sounds good to me.
Cool. What are you wanting to go on a boat, or are you wanting to pitch up on the shore along the stream or at the side of the loch?
Is there a nice boat, and does the loch look appealing?
It's a nice day, so it's relatively still. You'd have to go have a poke around in the boathouse to see what the boat or boats are.
I will go look in the boathouse. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Relatively nice. Yeah. You don't think there's any holes in them? They look relatively well maintained.
Shall we have an excursion then? We can always head back in when we fancy.
All right then. May as well enjoy ourselves while we're here.
So everybody else gets back to the house, and Sir John says, "Can I interest anybody in a spot of tennis or any other activities?"
Normally I would jump at the chance, but I'm a little tired today. I might pass on the tennis, but I would love to watch.
That would suit me.
Thomas, the journalist, says, I could play a spot of tennis. And the Duchess Catherine says, yes, I could. I do enjoy watching some men play sport. And you guys all kind of head over to the tennis court. Albert and Eliza, you're kind of bobbing around on the lock. You've had a couple of kind of catches, but not managed to get anything in yet. And as you kind of sort of gently bobbing along, just past Sir Stuart's house, you catch a glimpse of the Iron Age fort. And just as it comes into view, you see something just heading into the entrance. And we'll leave it there.
Perfect. I love a good old something.
Yeah.
So there we are. I hope you've all enjoyed that. If anybody has any questions or comments, please pop them in the chat and John can pop them up on screen for us. If they're about why my internet died, I don't know yet. But fortunately, we have things like mobile phone hotspots now that save the day. So yes, channel recap. Mondays is this Call of Cthulhu. Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Normally Tuesday is Vampire the Masquerade and Wednesday is Simba Room. But for the next couple of weeks, the next few weeks, it's not going to be that. Tuesday is going to be Blades in the Dark and Wednesday is going to be Coriolis, which is another Free League game set in space. And then the first Saturday of every month is a one-shot adventure, different GMs, players, systems, games, etc. So the June 5th one is going to be The Expanse, which is also space. And then every 2 weeks on a Sunday, we have a guest spot on the Free League Twitch, running another game of Simba Room called Fetters of Stone. So there was one on yesterday. So the next one is in 2 Sundays' time, which makes it the 6th of June. So the day after The Expanse. I did all of that from memory.
Ooh, well done.
Thank you. This is when John tells me it was all wrong. The Call of Cthulhu stories are just one long stream of the players being terrible house guests. Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
We always have lovely hosts as well.
Yeah, we do. Just loveliest hosts. We're just here like...
Literally couldn't do any more for you.
The whiskey's great.
Samuel's been pretty polite so far.
Yeah, Samuel has been very polite. I really love the disconnect between the characters in this session with like Samuel totally hearing the same thing as us, just being like, nope, and we were just like, I don't trust any of this. Like, while he's upstairs, like, well, I'm going to bed. Good night. It's probably nothing.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
Yeah, and
especially
you the one I'd have thought out of everyone would have been the most interested in kind of exploring.
I was going to say, especially when his character is supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was why it was such like an unexpected mechanic, because we were all just like, oh, Samuel's going to be the crazy, the full on rumors and whatever's going on, and then suddenly you deny it because it makes sense in the context. You'd be like, nah, I'll keep it to myself. And we're all just like, what? Oh, it's fun.
Yeah. I think Eliza might have tried to keep it to herself a bit more, but like because everybody else had come out and put their heads through, everyone else had obviously heard it too. So
yeah. Albert's not a keep it to himself sort of person, it seems.
Yeah, Samuel's definitely unsettled, but yeah, didn't rise to the occasion there.
It's always fun splitting up the party and guessing who's going to get the Eldritch Cliffhanger.
Yeah.
The tennis one would have been interesting. I don't know how that would work.
Yeah.
I was thinking, is the cliffhanger somehow the tennis?
I've never trusted tennis.
No.
The tennis ball is suddenly a deeper green and tentacles. No, that'd be gross.
God. I feel like we were really pushing you in that one as well, being like, we're really going to make it difficult for you when we keep missing these spot hiddens and all the mysteries. It's like, come on, I want to get a cliffhanger. No, we don't see them.
It's
Just
fine.
nothing. The whole party is utterly unaware.
That's everything tonight from the chat. Cool. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back next week with another installment of What's Wrong with That Tennis Ball. Thanks for watching. If you want to go back, if you haven't watched the previous series, Darkwood, that's all on YouTube. It's 8 episodes, so about 16 hours, so you can watch it all in a day. That's nice. That's there on YouTube. Please come join us on Discord and chat with us on there about how much you love creepy hill forts and delicious breakfasts and the sound of gas mains being turned off. Catch you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.